Oh, it's recording now.
And now presenting...
Hello, Regalsville! How are you all doing today? I see most of the town showed up. We got a full room. Anyway, today I wanted to inform you guys of something you probably are going to get a little squeamish about. The truth about rats. Let me start off with a video clip.
You ever wonder why people are so afraid of rats? Maybe it's their super rat strength. The way they hunt in packs of 5,000 or more.
Tear 'em up.
Another possibility is the fear that rats will spread another Black Death-like plague. But the most common thing I ever hear is how people just don't like rat tails. Probably why hamsters get all the really cool roles on TV.
When we hear about the Black Death, a couple things come to mind. The death of tens of millions of people and rats.
Oh, we got a question in the audience. What's that, you ask?
It is true that they found new evidence that gerbils are the actual culprits of spreading the disease. They think it started in China in the early 1340s. Fleas would go on top of the gerbils and travel the Silk Trail through Persia, Syria, all the way to Egypt, where it would take onto boats and spread to Europe. That killed about 1/3 of Europe's population. Did it necessarily only cause because of them? No. Rats did help a little bit over there. They would help spread the disease to the colonial area just a little bit and keep the disease around. The reason they don't think it was rats is because in Asia, they would have warm, wet summers during the times the outbreaks were very big. That means that there was a very small rat population in Europe because they would have cold, harsh winters, which would make them not populate that much. They also think that it may have spread through air and 1,000 other things, so we're not really sure, but they don't really think that rats were the cause. And I think that's our point here. Let's go to the next video and talk about why they're pretty important to us.
Naked. Mole rats. They're naked. And they're mole rats.
Rats have been helping us learn for about 200 years, but it hasn't always been fun and games. Before the early 1900s, scientists would use domesticated animals for research, but activist groups were very against that. So, Henry Donaldson decided that he was going to find an animal that most people would not care about, but still serve the purpose. He decided upon white albino rats to start his process of making the perfect specimen. He would breed them to make a pure race.
The robot rat. A remote-controlled rat.
They were able to do this by sending impulses into the brain and making their whiskers want to go left or right. If they did that, then they would get another impulse down the center, and it would trigger dopamine to release, causing them pleasure.
I guess that did go through a lot of material, and it was a little bit sporadic. Let's go back to the beginning. Henry Donaldson, very interesting guy. He was into all kinds of brain science, and he needed to find something that wasn't a domesticated animal like people usually would have used. It was becoming barbaric to most people. But nobody really cared for rats because they were vermin. He decided to take the white albino rat because that was a common, easy to distinguish rat. By doing a bunch of breeding and experimenting, he was able to kill off, which is sad, the majority of the rats because they had issues, but keep the pure rats and breed them together. He was able to breed them up to 300 generations before any effective inbreeding would happen. So he was also able to use this pure race of rats over and over again, making scientific studies more exact. By the time that we do modern stuff, we have a little bit more rules on everything. But fortunately, since we have a wisp star rat, we don't have to worry about killing them off all the time anymore. They use probably about 95% rodent population for all scientific studies involving animals. 25% is about rats. The rest are mice, which have about an 85% makeup that's similar to us. So they're good for certain things, but they don't have the intelligence and the hormones that we use in our brains. So that's why neurosurgeons will be more likely to use a rat in their experiments. DARPA is actually paying the government to make things like this robot rat because eventually they want to put this into humans, having drone humans that at any time will know exactly what they need to do. They even use rats to find bombs, which is another very important talent, and you don't need to use, once again, dogs, which people more or less like more. We have a lot to be thankful with rats. Let's go to the next one and see why I specifically enjoy rats the most.
Shadow, come. Come. Come, good girl.
Rats haven't always been known for their good looks, so they had to make up for this with their smarts. Most would be very surprised by the tricks that rats are able to handle. Whether they're hanging 20 on the surf, or preparing their next symphony for the big show. Rats can have many talents, like mine, who like to sleep and pretend that they're dogs.
You got it, girl.
Oh, you know I'm recording you now.
I know that pretty much didn't sum up anything, but rats are really intelligent. One of the main reasons why they do use it in science. Let me grab one of my buddies. Who wants to come out the most? Arlene? These guys are my best friends. They're definitely as smart as a dog. They can come to their name. In other words, they have self-recognition. Oh, we got both of you now. This is Ellen. This is Arlene. My little babies. Anyway, besides self-recognition, just like cats, they use a litter box, which they use heavily, which also becomes a great thing when you're trying to raise a rat inside a house. My rats are actually house-trained. Once again, another thing most people don't expect rats to do. Alright, back in the cage. You guys are going to go crazy. Other fun things about rats, since they're so intelligent, is that they are able to learn tricks very quickly. You do this, though, not by punishing them if they're wrong or right. Actually, don't punish them for anything, because that's negative reinforcement, won't make them do anything. You use a reward system. Every time they do their trick correctly, you give them a little gift. And then, you pretty much have them whipped. The only problem is I can't train them to do one thing, and that's to bite electric cords. Every cord in my house is bit up, and it's crazy. I would bring them to things like rat shows, but I don't think I trained my rats very well. They kind of do what they want. I call them my little queens. So to finish up, rats have gotten a really bad rap. It probably started around the Black Plague because, I mean, everybody was dying, you had to blame somebody. So who's the best stereotype? This dirty little animal. As we saw, though, it ended up being the perfect specimen for science. And they've helped us have cures for cancer, they find bombs, they can help us with so many different things, even neurological ideas or making robot androids. But in the long run, the best part, in my opinion, is playing with them. Teaching them little things, and how, believe it or not, they're very clean animals. They use a litter, they don't ruin my house, and, you know, they love me. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to my speech. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yay!
No encore?